Hey, I'm back again. I just wanted to try to cover this really quick as far as the Swiss MO-93 bicycle from Switzerland. Now I'm going to show you my bike, and nothing's been modified on this permanently except for the forks on this. So these are all original parts from this bicycle. If you are interested in buying one, I bought this from Sportsman's Guide, and then with my discount and free shipping, I think I got this for around $1,200. So I think they list around $1,200 plus another about $150 shipping depending on where you live, from where they're shipping it from. Anyway, let's go into this real quick as fast as I can. You know, I still have some speech impediments and things like that, so I apologize in advance for problems. Now the reason I like this bike is this thing's built like a tank. Now this thing is considered to be kind of like a mountain bike and road bike crossover. It's more of like a heavy-duty touring bike actually, in the way that it's built. So you know, like a mountain bike is going to have a short stem down here, or you know, whatever this part is called. I'm not a bicycle aficionado, so sorry about that. But anyway, usually like on a mountain bike, this piece right there is going to end up being a lot shorter, and you have a longer post for the seat. Now this thing shipped was what, 48 pounds for everything, and that includes this little compartment that you have that you can put a lot of stuff inside of there. So you can see I've got a lot of junk I put inside there, so all that's going to add to the weight. What's kind of cool with these things is they do have a holder for the, I think it's the M-1990 what do you call it, canteen, and the canteen cup. Now I have used this to put in the old, you know, I don't know, it must have been like First World War canteens with the cup. So I have put those inside of here as well, but it's specifically made more for this 1990 canteen. So that's kind of cool. So you can carry some water with you and hydrate as you're riding this. On the other side here, we do have a flap, so you can put documents or different things inside of here. So sometimes I'll put my cell phone inside of this, and it's thick enough that I can put my cell phone inside, and if somebody calls me, I can answer it. Let me show you the modification that I made to the forks down here. So I had this modified, and they welded in this, and I'm not going to show you because I don't want to take this off right now, but basically they just reinforce the fork tips on these, because I also have a motor to convert this to an e-bike, and basically it just makes it stronger. So when I first bought this, I guess I didn't tighten these nuts enough, but I had a 50-watt motor installed in the hub here, and then it ended up kind of like bottoming out, and it made these forks spreading, which is not good. So it can be dangerous if you're going to put a motor on type of this thing for anything that's 50 watts or more for conversion. And so I paid about $90 to have these extra, you can kind of see here, but anyway, they just welded on these extra, kind of like a C thing onto there to make it strong so that it won't open up again if I put the motor back on. What I like about these, they have these fenders built in here. These are plastic. You can find some of these components online, but they tend to be pretty pricey. Originally this had an extra flap here. Now the problem with that flap is it came probably to about here, is that if you're going over any type of obstacles, this thing would hit all the time. Let's go down to the chain. With the chain, it's a pretty heavy duty chain built into here. It's got a guard built into, gosh, I don't even know the nomenclature for this stuff, but anyway, where these pedals attach, this helps protect it. So if you hit some kind of stuff, it's going to hit this guard instead of destroying your chain. These are original pedals. You can always replace these with the original wheels on these. This is obviously a modified one. So the rims basically were made later, but I do have an original over here. So with the original ones, they had porcelain on the rim to try to add to durability of the rim, because if you take a look at these brakes, it's a rim brake. So with that excellent or additional porcelain, it made the rim last longer. These brakes, these Madura brakes, they had a special pad made specifically for porcelain rims, and you can still purchase a similar thing. I have installed newer ones made by other makers. The original ones were not quite as wide as these, so you see how this protrudes out. The original ones came right to the edge of the brakes, so not as wide. They worked great, but things wear out as you use them, so I had to get some modified replacements for them, and I put them on the front and the back. Obviously I've modified this back wheel. When you purchase these things, they usually, if you're lucky, they might have some of these original wheels coming with it. Most of them will not have the original tread or tire built onto them. I did buy a second one of these on eBay for about $500 less than what I bought this from Sportsman's Guide, and I have it in storage right now underneath my house in my crawl space. My wife doesn't know, so she hasn't found out my YouTube channel yet, thank God. Anyway, let's take a look at the handlebar. So I know you've probably seen these online, but this has more of a mountain bike type of handlebar on here, so this thing's very straight. I've modified this a little bit, so I've got my asp on there, which is just basically a club. I like to call it a paperweight in case the police stop me. But you know, the area that I live, there's a lot of pseudo-homeless people that are just, I'd say, drug vagrants. And they like to steal shit, and they especially like to steal bikes. And so then they'll steal a bike, and then they may or may, you know, they'll at least repaint these things. And if they don't sell it, you know, all the components, they'll at least repaint this stuff and resell the entire thing, or they'll change the parts so it doesn't look like the same thing. So this is not a cheap bike, and that's part of why I carry that, just in case some jackass tries to steal my shit. Another thing, I haven't received it yet, but I bought the skunk lock, which it has noxious gas inside of it. So if they try to cut through this U-bolt, this gas comes out and will help prevent them from stealing it, because you can take less than 30 seconds to use a battery powered grinder and cut a U-bolt. So this one is made to prevent that. So when you cut it open, this pressurized gas comes out, and then hopefully they leave. Now obviously I don't have one, and I don't know how good of a deterrence that'll be, but it should be here anytime soon. So let's take a quick look. So what I like is they have this leather seat on there, and this one was made in 1995. It's got the marks and all that good stuff. I did find on eBay from Spain was a replacement unused one. When I got this, it was unused. I've been using Obanoff's LP to protect this, so that has wax and oil inside of it. Helps keep it nice. It slightly darkens it. When you look at the brand new ones, they look pretty light compared to this. It's got springs on it. Now each one of these has a stamp built into here for when this is made. So this thing is, what, 26 years old now, approximately. You've got a bell. You've got this compartment. Inside of this compartment is the tools compartment, and so you've got a full-size pump. And then normally I keep my tools in there, but I threw my tools inside of this compartment. But normally you keep your other tools. So if you take a look at the original stuff, it's not like on the back they modified this, you know, before I even bought it. But they've got the quick connect on the back wheel. So on this one, I make sure that the back wheel is locked up to make it more difficult for them to try to just remove this. These things only have 7 gears, and it's pretty low geared. So at the max, I can go about 25 miles an hour max if I get this on the highest setting. So it's not like a typical road bike where maybe you can go 30 to 35 with the gearing. It's just very low geared, but it's great when you're going up at hills and things like that. Let's take a look. So they always have a license plate on here just to show that it was from the Swedish Army. I did modify my lights. So I put LED bulbs inside instead of, sorry about the noise, but I put in LEDs inside so that it'd be brighter. I didn't want to modify it too much. The original ones came with a spoke dynamo built inside. This one did not come with it, and neither did my second one that I bought on eBay. So instead, what they did before they sold it, they put like these AXA dynamos inside of there. And so the lights only work when I'm pedaling or moving. So if I stop at a stoplight or a stop sign or something like that, those lights turn off. I've worn out my actual dynamo since I've had it, because I've put over about 1,500 miles or more on this specific bike. One other thing that I added was this two-footed fork on the bottom, and so this allows you, it's tall enough where I can work on the front fork or the back fork by keeping them off of the ground, so that I can work on them easier. I guess this was issued with some of the bikes, or it was an option. I bought this later. This was about 26, 30 bucks or something like that. But it was kind of made for these. And what's nice is too, is because you got the 2 feet on there, this thing doesn't fall over. So when I park it, I'll park it with those extended, and then lock it around whatever I'm locking it onto, right? And it allows you to work on this stuff without turning it upside down, which normally you have to do with most bikes and things like that. Got a nice rack. So they have some additions to the rack, which I've seen. They've got some ammo carriers for the rocket, like a rocket propelled grenade. So they're larger, or they've got some smaller racks for these, just for like a machine gun, which you can also mount on here. And plus it comes with an extra mount that you put onto this, so you can carry all these things. Trying to find that part. I mean, I think it was like $700 plus another $100 to ship it from Switzerland, and I don't really need it. It'd be cool to have it, but it's just super expensive to find the racking for these things. So, you know, I've put other things on here. I've used the Swiss. They've got these 2 pouches which are attached together, and so I'll use those as like a pannier, or else I can use the even older bread bags on each side, which are rubberized, keep the weather out. So I've used that also, putting on each side, left and right, so I can carry more stuff. You know, this is a pretty good rack on here. I mean, it's heavy duty. Look at that. In the front, you have this this front porter rack, I guess you would say. And if I want to carry stuff, then I'll use the M90 backpack, because it kind of fits in here perfectly, so I can carry extra stuff. If I reconvert this back to an e-bike, then that's where I keep the battery inside of this pack, and the wiring goes up to here to the controller, and then down to the motor. Let me show you the motor real quick. So, like I said, when I first had this, I bottomed down on using this. It's 500 watts, so it's strong enough that it spreaded out those front forks on there, and then the thing spinned. So you can see here where I kind of damaged this. It didn't damage it completely, but just enough to where now I think there's some corrosion in there. But this motor is not working well. It says there's some kind of problem with the there's something inside of there, and I think it's mainly because the wiring on this and being exposed to rain and things like that. It's corroded since then, and it's not working 100%. I think it's the Hall sensing is what they're saying. So I plan on buying a new motor and reinstalling it with my existing components for the e-bike. But yeah, this thing makes it go about 20 to 23 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. When you go up of hills, this thing helps. And then during the snow, during the snow, with the motor in the front, kind of makes it all-wheel drive. So I've got, you know, biking traction plus the traction from the front. I did drive this, or ride it over 18 miles from my work back to home and to my work, and so I got great traction, and I didn't fall down in the ice or the snow because I had two wheels that had traction on them. Anyway, this is a heavy bike, but it's built like a tank, so I don't think this thing's gonna wear out. I do have a second one just because I'm crazy. I don't really need it, but you know, maybe I'll resell it, or maybe I'll give it to my son. He's still a little bit too young for it because he's only 11 years old, so he's not gonna fit on something this big. So if he wants it, maybe I'll give him one of these. If not, maybe I'll resell it. But I really like this bike. I don't know what else to say. If you guys have any questions on this, post them on there and I'll answer as soon as I can. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you.